Hi, guys. My name is Amena K. Thornton, and you are listening to the One Up podcast with Amena K. You can see all these live videos by going to amena.media to go to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. And today I am so excited to be introducing Josh Tan, and he's coming in on episode 32 for you guys that are actually keeping track on the message of hope. Stories from struggle to success. Again, guys, I absolutely adore this series, and I know you guys do too. I find it's like the most viewed, most watched, and like I said, totally appreciate you guys, but you need to do your part and share the stories. Make sure you share them to reach the people that are struggling. There's a lot of people out there that don't actually like to talk about their struggles. I know because I've been there. So make sure that you're sharing these messages. And Josh absolutely agrees with me. He just like shook his head like, yeah, for all the ones that are listening. So I know it is. And I get so many people that reach out to me in private and ask for advice. So please, please, please do your part and share this message. It will be totally appreciated by the people that it reaches, and it'll reach the right people. So don't feel weird about just randomly sharing stuff. It will find the people it's meant to find. All right, so Josh is coming on today with his message of hope, and he is going to tell us about how he lost his self and he found his personal growth and spiritual discovery and ultimately discovered his purpose, what drives him now. And I'm going to let him start wherever he wants in the story. I don't know if he wants to start it from very young or like give us a now and then kind of like dabble in the back. Like, how do you want to present your story today, Josh?
I think I'll start from the early years. I think I'll
Okay.
start there and just build you a nice journey to come
I
along.
love that. Yeah, I love that because it's a good picture.
First off, I'd love to say thank you, Mina, for having me on. It's a pleasure to share my story, and thank you for putting out a message of hope to everyone else. And like you said, if you're hearing this, you're meant to hear it, and it always finds the right people.
It
But
does.
thank you for
Thank you so much for coming today.
and thank you guys for listening. My name is Josh Tan. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn, New York, and right now I'm an intuitive healer and life coach. But it took me 30 years to get here,
Yeah.
and my journey is a twisting, turning plot. Starts off in New Jersey, where I'm raised as like a pretty standard way of living, Catholic, conservative,
Yeah, that's
do
pretty
well in
standard.
school.
Yeah.
Pretty standard, especially here for like America,
Yeah.
do well in school, get a good job, get go into the workforce, live that kind of life. And I bought into that thinking that was the only way.
Yeah.
I
That's
wasn't
important. Yeah. The only way. Yeah.
the only way. I wasn't really aware of things like a service job. Well, it was like doctor, lawyer, engineer, architect,
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty much. I was actually doing a self-reflection with my older daughter. I have a 15-year-old, and I was thinking, wow, I really didn't know nothing else other than those occupations that you mentioned. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna go for something, you know. And you're just like kind of just work, yeah. So it's hard when you're like in a dynamic where you don't know what other occupations there are. So you're just like, I guess this is it, pick one. So yeah.
Just pick one. Do you like math more or do you like science more? And it's just like, I guess.
Did they give you that
And
test in high school where they're like, we're going to give you this test and we're going to just kind of tell you what you're really good at and you should just do that and then go on your way?
you have three. That test also only gives you three choices.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember what mine said. It was something like totally off. I think it was like math, and I was doing terrible at math or something. I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Uh,
I knew I didn't reading that much, which is funny because I'm writing a book now.
awesome. Yeah, I love
Funny how
books.
things change. And then that was just like a lot of constriction around my life and a lot of, I wouldn't call it repression, but I would call it a lot of lack of self, like not really knowing yourself and not really knowing what you're made of, not really knowing what your passions are, and kind of like walking through life blindly,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of believing, you know, not making up your own decisions or my own decisions. And that's what I did a long time for the first, 18 to 20 years of my life. And coming out of that, I had taken up a bunch of self-development, self-help kind of things
Hmm.
so that I could be a high performer. And I did really well for myself to begin with, really well for
Good.
myself.
Yeah.
And to let off to like in the world of self-discovery, I picked up a lot of unhealthy habits.
Oh, what was
I,
that?
I went I went on a lot of like wild vacations, did a lot of partying, a lot
Oh.
of drinking,
So you
even
were
like
doing well
some
off, so you're just like, well, I'm just gonna do what I want at this point.
I want to do what I want because you can't tell me what to do because I passed the ultimate test and I have the paycheck and the title to prove it. So now I can like do all the things I want to do because I
Yeah.
made it. Like
Yeah.
this is the top of the game. And I basically lived two lives. I basically lived one life in the office as an engineer, Monday to Friday, and
Yeah.
then another life from Friday to Sunday, where I was like a completely different person, all over town, all over the country,
Wow.
all over. Then I started traveling abroad and going on like crazy trips, getting into too much trouble,
Yeah.
and not really being who I was and not really holding on to my values. Started using substances, and started not really knowing who my friends were,
So you were
distancing
drifting at
myself.
this point. You were just like, whatever's happening, I'm just gonna go with the flow, and that's life. That's how it's supposed to be.
directionless,
Yeah.
directionless drifting, thrill seeking, basically escapism, because the Monday to Friday lifestyle wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
So the only fulfillment I would have is checking out on the weekends, checking out mind and body somewhere else, wake up in time on Monday to like roll into the office or the factory and then put on a smiley face and get my
Yeah.
work done. Yeah.
Did anybody else
And
know, like, oh my goodness, he's going to all these places and then he's coming back like nothing ever happened? Like, yeah, total shift.
that had a negative effect because no one at work knew who I was. So I wasn't even friends with my coworkers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like I would work and then I would disappear. And then I would
They
work
were
and
like,
then
I
I would
don't know
disappear.
what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what do you do on the weekend? Oh, nothing. Just, gonna
So
lay
no.
low. Yeah. Then that really affects your authenticity because you have
Yeah.
nothing to ever talk about with other people. And
Yeah.
they could probably smell that like something's up.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
what am I going to tell them? Like, I mean, because it's kind of personal at that, especially when you get into substance, right? You don't want to be like, yeah, so I totally party all week, and they're like, wait, you know, probably
It's
not a
like,
good thing
okay,
to like make a first
you
conversation.
can't have this kind of job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, you can't have this kind of job. You're supposed to be straight laced and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a couple years there. That was probably like 5 years
What
of
type of
that.
engineer were you?
I was a material scientist. I
What is
worked
that?
on and I worked on high tech advanced metals that went
Interesting.
into jet engines, space shuttles, tanks, and even like unfortunately like bombs and stuff, which I was
Yeah.
not really proud of.
Not really wanting
But
to.
they're like,
Yeah.
yeah. but
You have
they
to
were
figure
very
out the
special.
the mechanics of it. Is that what it entails? Like, I guess, like you said, metals and stuff. So what, like, would hold up longer?
Hold up longer, how to make it's kind of like how it's made as well.
Yeah.
Like if you need to make it into a certain shape or like a
Oh,
temperature
true. Yeah,
right
if it
now.
needs to fit somewhere exactly. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we did that for 6 years or so, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And the whole time I had this feeling of if I keep doing this, I'm going to be unfulfilled.
Yeah.
I'm going to be unfulfilled. I don't want to end up like my boss or my boss's boss, or like I don't
So you
want to do
started looking
this.
around you like, I don't really want their life and I don't want their life. Well, then what I want, because if I'm not going to stay
I
here and be
don't
where they're
want.
at, where am I going?
Good, great question. So what did I do? I turned to opening my mind
Yeah.
through meditation. I was like, oh, there has to be something wrong with me. Maybe if I just meditate, I'll
That's
learn how to be
interesting. So you
grateful.
started right off with meditation. Now, is there a certain type of meditation that you were doing?
I was doing the meditations with the apps that are on your smartphone nowadays,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
Headspace and Calm and all those things.
Yeah.
And my take on it is it's a really good like entry point, like a really good
That's
like
cool because
jump
I've
into.
never actually did any on apps. I've always did them like either in a group or just myself, just self. I call it self reflection because I do a lot of self reflection. In fact, I've been doing it since I was a little kid. I remember doing it because I pretty much was on my own. Like I was the only child in my household, so I remember just always being alone and having all that quiet time. So I remember always asking myself like all these questions that were really complex for now looking back. Like wow, I was really digging deep there. So that's how I got technically into meditation. It's just kind of always been there, and then going into like YouTube or groups now. So yeah, but that's cool. I'm really glad to hear that, that the technology is so well. That's a good entry point because that's really good for anybody that's listening that, it is worth taking that investment.
Yeah, if you're listening and you're wondering about meditation, I would recommend starting with an app like Calm. Calm is I still use Calm once in a while,
Yeah.
and it makes it really easy. It takes the barrier to entry out of it, guides you all the way through, and
I love
it's a great place
those.
to start.
Yeah. I love the guided ones. They're so fun. So
Yeah, and they have great voices too.
yeah, yeah, I really like the guide. I'm gonna have to check that out. I really like guided ones because that it really gets you out of your own space and then puts you through this experience that you might not, take, or contemplate in your head to go through. And then when you go through it, you're just like, okay, I'm in a different space and I can maneuver these new situations.
Yeah, definitely. So I was doing meditation for a while,
Yeah.
and I started messing around. Of course, what comes next from meditation? Psychedelics, of course.
Psychedelics. Well, I never did psychedelics myself, but I'll take your word for it. So, yeah.
I was just like, well, how do I open my mind? How do I open my mind
Yeah.
farther? Open my
Yeah.
mind
And
farther.
you're
It's
always
just
like,
like,
oh, I got it. Yeah. I can see the
of
correlation
course,
here
if
you're
you look at
going
all
for.
from like
I can see it, though. I can see what you're saying. Yeah. So, how'd that work out?
all the that was pretty life changing actually,
Really?
but for the better,
Oh, that's
honestly.
cool. That's cool.
It really kind of gives you this sense of connectedness and compassion and oneness that
Yeah.
really does. It
I've
really
known
does. As long
some
as you're
people that go into like different parts of the world. I can't remember where off the top of my head, but some people have told me that they've gone like other places in the world and they've ate like certain foods or something that give them a psychedelic experience, and that was life changing. So I totally believe all of you, but I just never done any, which is really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I would recommend if you're safe. I
Yeah.
recommend it. Um, maybe, yeah. So that was a great couple years there, kind of opening layers of the mind and getting in touch with like different levels of your
I lost you there for a second. What was that?
and this whole time I was still like kind of struggling with this split lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
So good.
Hold
Yeah, you
on. I'm
just
getting breaking up a second. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Okay. I think
okay, you're
the
back.
connection went a little bit there. Okay, so you had the psychedelic connection, and then what happened there after that?
What happened there is kind of still struggling with that shadow aspect of myself, seeing that I was still kind of living a split lifestyle, still
Okay.
feeling unfulfilled,
Yeah.
still feeling unfulfilled. Even though things were better,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a band-aid.
I totally understand. But
Kind of just
but
like
maybe you want to explain a little bit for everybody else. So, yeah.
so the meditation and the mind altering states of consciousness were helpful and they helped me see the world in a different point of view. But my everyday reality was still very much like aggressive on my mind and like on my sense of self. And I
Okay.
still kind of felt trapped by the system, trapped by expectations, my own expectations, trapped by trying to look a certain way, behave a certain way. And there were parts of me that I couldn't really deal with, honestly. Like there's still a lot of parts of me that were like self-doubt, self-sabotage,
Yeah.
negative self-talk.
Yeah.
So the meditation and stuff like that, it kind of makes you, it helps you realize everything's okay, but it doesn't really pull it out of you
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, seriously.
It's kind of like shining a light in a dark room and you see that the room needs to be cleaned.
Okay. Yeah, I like that analogy. I like that. Yeah.
That's where I was roughly around like 2015 or so.
Okay.
And I realized that this like path to unfulfillment was all my own doing. And like all these mental states were all in my head. I was being my own worst enemy. And I had to dive deeper into myself and my self study to really figure out what was going on.
Yeah. And
Are
how'd you
you
do that?
familiar with
So again?
um, through ontology, the study of ontology and getting life coaching training,
Okay.
which it really puts the art of being into perspective for you. Like if you've ever
Okay.
heard
I'm not familiar with the term ontology, but I do mindset study through philosophy, through religion, through all kinds of things. And I know exactly what you're talking about because there is that what I like to say, it's like personal development. Like personal development is daily and it's a multi-structured. Like you have these different areas in your life you can personally develop. But there is another whole layer once you understand how your mind works and how you live in reality. That is just like once you have that awakening, that is when you realize, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I overlooked this like my whole life. Like, and then you really wake up. So I think that's where you're going with this anthology thing. Am I correct in that?
that is correct. It is really like how you're seeing the world and like how much of the world is your perception and then how much of yourself you can create your own identity by the way you're acting and the words you're using
Yeah, and
and how
that's the
people's perceptions of
official
you.
law. I like to say that's the official law of attraction right there. Right there. Uh-oh, I think I
The
lost
law
you
of
there for a
what?
second. All right, I'm getting you back, Josh. It just um, got a little hazy there for a second. So
It was the law of what?
The law of attraction. I was like, that exactly what you described there, I would say is the law of attraction. If are stuck with the law of attraction and it's just not working for you, it's because you've learned it like totally out of context. You have to get to this point of understanding your mind in that aspect and then how much you really can control.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect that you planted that seed there because I'm going to connect that back in.
Okay, awesome.
Because I do a lot of work in that world as well.
Yeah.
And after studying this ontology, the art of being itself and more self-development, I really realized that this splintered aspect of me was destroying my life. So if anyone out there is living two different lives, or you're one person in the office, one person at home, one person with your family, one person with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or your husband or wife, that's going to destroy your life. It's going to just, I originally thought keeping everything in its own separate box
Yeah.
was how you kept everything safe.
And I think that's what a lot of people like were raised with that. Like we're like, okay, that we got school and we got our school friends, right? And I can mean college or whatever. You've got that learning atmosphere. And then you've got your family that know like you just as this family person, however that dynamic works. But then you've got like certain groups of friends that you act maybe slightly different with, depending on if they're single, if they have families, So I totally can relate to this because I know what it's like because I had homeschooled my kids. So I was in that. I was one of those cushy moms for a while, like everything, all natural, everything. Kids slept co-sleeping, everything. And then I also entrepreneur, so I had that world. So I understand what you're saying. And it seems like you have to be these different roles. Just because, I don't know, it must be like a society thing or something. But yeah, when you release it, what happens? Like when you're just like, I can't keep juggling this. Did you just have a breakdown at that point, or did you like really dig further into how do you say it again? How do you say that term?
Ontology.
Ontology. Okay.
The breakthrough was a breakdown in my
It was a
life where
breakdown.
basically everything was falling apart.
Yeah.
My family life was falling apart. My friend life was falling apart. My career was falling apart. Everything was falling apart. And I was like,
And I love how
what?
you're laughing through this because I can totally relate. Like sometimes you just need to like have everything fall apart and so you can have that awakening. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have your awakening and it's manageable, God bless you. And
Yeah.
for everyone else, there's still hope. There's still hope out there.
Yeah, well, you'll get through it. You got to keep wanting to find the answer. And, if you've made it this far in this struggle to success story, you are on the right path. Keep listening. Yeah, this is the key right here. We're talking about it right now. So, yeah.
It was falling apart. Everything was falling apart. And I realized that my split lifestyle was destroying me. So I decided to take everything I had, every person I was, and combine them into one person. It was no longer like I just meditated on Wednesday nights, but I would talk about like meditation all in like regular work
In
and like
regular
with my
life, yeah.
friends. I would talk about my lifestyle at work. I would talk about my lifestyle with my family. It was like I took all the masks off.
Was
And
it
I
kind of
was just
scary at first? They're like, oh my God, everybody's going to, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's how I felt too. I was just like, I don't know how people are going to take me, but I can't, I can only do me. So that's it.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. But I mean, the people that leave your life weren't meant to be there anyways. Thankfully,
Yeah.
no one important. Thankfully, no one important didn't leave.
Yeah.
It did take some pain and some growth with some people to like find out all these deep dark secrets about me. and really what it is just you accepting yourself
That's
for
true. That is very
who
true. Yeah.
who you radically are on the inside. Like there's some part of you that's the best on Monday morning, and there's some part of you that's the best on Friday night, and it's not fair to keep those two parts separate.
Yeah.
If you were the best you all the time, as much as possible, if you're at your full potential all the time, everyone sees the best side of you and everybody benefits. That's my personal
Oh
philosophy
yeah.
on that.
That's good.
So it was taking all these masks off, because I used to think like, I can't talk about this spiritual stuff at these places because I'll look weird. And I can't talk about these hobbies at these places because I'll look irresponsible.
But it's all
So
in
it was, I
your
had
mind, because you don't know how
all
you're not actually knowing what's going in their mind and what they're doing, exactly. And then what kind of roles they're playing, like, with their mask, and what they're, ultimately doing. So yeah, it's all in your mind at the end of the day, and how you are perceiving what other people think about you. So
And also what I found is that people warm up to you a lot more when you're just being authentic
yeah,
and you're not trying to pull a fast one on them, you know?
people please. Yeah.
And this had to come out in my dating life. And this had to come out of my dating life, my family life, my work life. And that was like that was one of the biggest turning points of my life. Being able to come clean with everything, take all the skeletons out of my closet was
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. And then connecting it back to what you were saying about mindset and how you interact with people and how you're being and how you manifest.
Yeah.
I started to study the world of energy and the world of vibrations. And if you're not one vibration, if you're not coherent within yourself, if you're not in alignment, that's going to throw off all the things that you're trying to manifest in your
And
life.
it takes practice, I gotta say, because sometimes I know I fall back and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I'm totally like messing up my vibes here. Like, I gotta focus. What am I doing again? So yeah, I know.
Yeah. You got to have your mindset right and then your feelings right. And you got to make sure that you're in that like high
Oh
vibe
yeah.
alignment.
Especially,
And
it's definitely, it's a muscle. Your brain's a muscle. You have to train it. And then when your brain starts drifting, you got to catch it and say, wait, I don't need to be thinking about this. I don't need to be driven this way. What's my ultimate purpose? Is it this way? And so if the answer is no, you better stop it right now and start going the other direction, because once you start that attraction, you're going to start attracting that. And it seems like, I know when we're talking about it and people are listening to this, especially for the first time, you've got to listen to this more than once, guys, because it does take this message over and over and over again. At least for me, it did. Like I dug into this, like in philosophy, in religion, in personal development. And then I look back now, because now I have found that place, that aha moment. And I look back at these very books, the same ones, the same reports and everything. Like, I see it now. I hear it now. I see it now in like people that are successful. I hear it now in people that are not where they want to be exactly. And then look at what they're doing. And I can actually see the patterns, like the patterns they're putting out, that aura. And I'm like, that is why they're not where they want to be. I can actually recognize it now. It's really interesting for me. I love this study. It's like I said, it's one of my passions, and it's very fascinating the more you dig into it. So yeah, it's all about that vibration.
same, one of my biggest passions.
Yeah.
So that was really accepting myself was the biggest turning point. Accepting myself as someone who's fun loving, but also serious, someone who has a big heart, but also stands for themselves, someone that is really adventurous and likes to play it a little bit crazy. And it's
Yeah.
okay to be all those things.
Yeah, you
And if you're okay with being yourself and being authentically you, radically you, you get to be okay with what you want, whether that be starting your business or having the title you want or having the relationship you want. You got to be okay with yourself first.
that's true.
And that
Yeah.
whole process of losing myself was what it took for me to figure out what was important to me,
Yeah.
because it wasn't in job title, and it wasn't in money, and it wasn't in nightlife, and it wasn't in passion. It wasn't any of these things that I was chasing for so long. And
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it takes losing yourself, losing it all, having things break down for you to realize, oh, what's actually important.
Yeah. So what did you discover? Where did you start actually? That's what I would actually want to know. So where did you start once you started figuring this out? Like,
Yeah.
was there a certain like thing you're like, oh my God, I gotta do this first? So
Where did I start? When I
yeah.
figured it out, or after I
When you
figured it out?
figured it out, when you recognize that it was all coming from you ultimately.
Started with my family, telling them that I secretly doing drugs and partying on the weekend, and also secretly bisexual this whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I had to really accept that part of myself, struggling
I
with
could
like,
see where you said that, you had to like really like, okay, I gotta find the strength in me to just come out and say this. Especially when,
yeah,
your family might already have tendencies towards something that is not in that alignment, or never even said that they support that in any notion. I know my parents are very verbal on the things they don't like, so I definitely know what you're talking about on some of these key points that I know a lot of our listeners or viewers on the YouTube channel, might, be hesitant about, it. But it's gonna give you a relief. I know for me, just putting that boundary. Really, mine was boundaries. I didn't have boundaries, and I needed to set boundaries. Like, people would come in and want to, have me do or ask me to do something, and they expect me to do it because I've always done it before, and it took a lot of strength to reprogram myself and say, listen, no. And they totally blew up. Like, I'd have family members that totally blew up because they were expecting me to say yes, because I've said yes a gazillion times before. And I'm like, no. And they're just like, what? I'm sleeping. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, and then you get a little emotional because you're like, oh my God, not only did I stick up for myself, but they like stormed out. I'm like, what was that about? So like, whatever. I can't control their emotions and how they're taking in me, you know?
yeah, you're
So
not responsible for how anyone else behaves
it was such
besides
a
you.
relief, though. It was such a relief. Like, wow, it took all these years to come to that point. It's crazy.
Yeah,
How long?
how long we hold ourselves back, and how long we'd rather suffer in silence than speak up just for a little bit, just to have that relief and have what we really want.
Yeah.
I find that to be really common. Like, that's how it always is, or nobody really cares, so I won't say anything. And it couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're just
I,
telling yourself a lie. That's all you're doing. You're just lying to yourself.
yeah, most people actually want you to be happy, and it's okay.
Yeah. So you started with your family, and did they take it really well? I would like to hope they took it well. So,
It was half and half.
half and half. Okay, well
It was
that's good. At least it didn't storm out. Like, I'm done.
half really well, and half not, half shock and
Yeah.
half acceptance. And that was interesting, but we're all better for it now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So everything that you struggle with and everything that you had to push through is going to give you a lot more in return on the other side.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely. So that was the family. then coming clean with myself, knowing that I was in this unhappy place, being an engineer, knowing that I don't want to do this any longer, and having to branch out and figure out what I wanted to do and put steps in place there. Like,
Yeah.
no more procrastinating, no more compromising on myself, no more self-sabotage. Just figuring out, like, okay, if I don't make a change, nothing will ever change.
Yeah.
It all starts and ends with you. Just like in mindset coaching, it all starts and ends with you.
Yep.
So that was big, coming to grips with, like, okay, I actually have to be serious about what I want.
That's
I
true.
actually have to put the steps in place to become a coach and a healer. Healing came second, actually. I always just wanted to be a coach, but healing came as like a secondary thing, which is now
What you do
what
too.
I'm known for, actually.
Is there a certain type of healing you do? Or what type of
Excuse
healing
me?
do you do? What type of
The
healing do you do? What is it?
energetic and emotional.
Oh,
Energetic and
energetic and
emotional.
emotional. So
Yeah.
what does that
So there's,
entail? I don't know too much about that. I don't think. 'Cause,
I basically act as a channel and
okay.
let intuition or spirit work through me.
Okay.
And I do a lot of work with repressed emotions, getting those to come up in the body and either leave through a different form of energy, like words, visions, thoughts, sometimes body sensations like shaking. I do a lot of work with people's inner child, their
Yeah.
core wounds.
That the root.
Yeah. And a lot of work with the shadow, because I had a long history with my shadow of all those pieces of parts of me that I didn't like. So I now help people integrate that.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
All those ways that you don't love yourself, or you don't think you're enough, or that you treat yourself poorly, self-doubt, self-sabotage, not having healthy boundaries. I go in with you and I walk with you to find out where that started and how do
Yeah.
we heal that.
Yeah. That's important. Yeah. I like doing that through, I do audio on the podcast that I do, some journeys, like we were talking at the earlier, about the meditation. I'm doing more of those for the podcast now, because I do enjoy them. And I think it's beneficial to the listeners, especially if they've never heard one before. And I don't think there's that many out there on podcasts. So, I decided just to start writing my own. I'm writing them and putting them out there. And I wrote a really powerful one like 2 days ago. I haven't made the audio for it because I don't think it's appropriate for like everyone, because it digs deep. I don't know how deep you go into some of these, but I feel it would be really emotional for somebody that's just beginning that type of practice, because there is different, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I feel there's different levels of meditation. There's different, like some are more powerful than others. Like you have the, like maybe the conscious level, and then you have the subconscious level. And I feel this one is too strong to put on the podcast. If you guys are interested, it's about releasing inner doubts and inner fears. And this is why I said I don't feel like it's appropriate for an audio, because I don't want you to be listening to it and you're like driving or somewhere that it might not be a really good place to listen to it. But if you're interested, I'll send you the audio. We'll figure that out. Like I said, just recorded it. So yeah. But yeah.
That sounds awesome. I definitely want to take a listen to it.
Okay, yeah. When I get it up, like re-record it, like I did the initial one, but I want to like do the like just make sure the audio sounds correct and everything like that. The post production. So yeah, I'll put it on there.
There are different layers of meditation. I learned this in my studies of Buddhism. And the deeper you go, the closer you get to dissolving your ego, which is where a lot of people will freak out. So yeah, you might want to keep that in like a container.
Yeah, I put a lot of warnings on the beginning. I like, you have to be in a good space. You're going to be safe. I'm going to be on the journey with you. Because, I actually went through it in a dream. So I don't know how close you are with dreams, but I don't really have vivid dreams anymore since I've had the release of everything I did deal with through past pains and abuse and everything that my life entailed. But I found peace with all of that and accepted it and grew from it. But I had a very vivid dream about this that I ended up turning into a meditation. And at first it was very scary and very, and then I realized what was going on. And so I was like, I need to make this into a meditation. But so that's what I did. And that was, like I said, just a couple of days ago. So, and I haven't had like I said, I don't have too many vivid dreams like that. So I figured it was something that I needed to share. Like it was something in the universe told me I had to make this. So
some kind of transmission or some kind of download.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Because I don't, like I said, I don't really have vivid dreams anymore. Like I sleep really well. Like I sleep better than I think I've ever had in my life. Like ever since I understood my own mind and where I'm at in the universe. So yeah. Do you feel better sleeping actually? Do you have any issues sleeping now?
No, I usually can fall asleep within like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a great thing that I've found along my way is the quieting of the mind, and not letting the monkey brain run the show.
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm consciously running the show now through all these practices and meditation and creating your own identity and things like that.
Yeah, can you explain the monkey brain, just in case anybody on here has never heard the term?
Sure. So we all have this voice in our head.
We have two, right? We have two.
You have at least two voices.
At least two.
In your,
yeah.
At least two. Yeah. You might have more, and you're hopefully don't have more than two.
Yeah.
So we have a voice in our head that kind of speaks in a dissenting sound, like, don't do that, that's not good for you, watch out, what are you doing, you're crazy, yada, yada, yada. If you don't believe me and you stop right here and you listen, you'll hear the monkey voice. Some of your monkey voice just went, what is this guy talking about? There's no such thing as a monkey voice.
Yeah, that's a good voice. What? That's not me. That's not me. Yeah, that's you. That's that voice.
Yeah, that's your monkey voice. Yeah.
And if you guys want to actually dig into this a little bit more, there is a wonderful book. Every now and then, you see these Facebook posts. I usually see it on Facebook. Like, what do you recommend as a first personal development book? And I always recommend this book. It's by Napoleon Hill. It's his last book he's ever made, and it's called Outwitting the Devil. And he calls the monkey voice the devil. So the devil is your living hell. And it is. It's your living hell. And he's talking directly to the devil, which is that inner voice in his head. And like I said, is his last book. It wasn't published until many, many, many years after his death, because it was so controversial with a religion and just the way it might be perceived when it was published. So I love that book.
Great. I've never read that one. Sounds good recommendation.
It is really good. So.
And basically your monkey brain runs that kind of language where your true awareness will talk more in concrete, positive thinking thoughts, kind of like the devil's shoulder or angel devil kind of.
You see them on those cartoons. Remember the cartoons that Bugs Bunny had the devil and the angel? Or I think it was even have you ever seen with the Roadrunner, like the Wile E. Coyote, I think had them too. Yeah. Yeah.
And
it is so true.
It is true because we all have it. It's so relatable.
But it's crazy because you don't really realize it, I think, unless you actually, you have learned like what me and you have learned, Josh, like I don't think like as kids we were like, yes, I definitely relate to that. At least I can't remember ever like, okay, whatever, it's just a cartoon, there's a devil and there's a God that's like pushing you on. And that's a whole other subject we can talk about like days, about that other voice and how it's related to like your whole universe. Maybe we'll dig into that in another whole session. We'll have to do a connections on that. I have another series that we mainly just talk on a main subject about mindset or personal development. So if you're interested, I would love to have that talk with you on that other voice and what does it mean.
We could take two different perspectives on it, or similar perspectives.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. So yeah.
Cool.
So what do you do now? What do you do other than what was it? Energy healing, you said? Is that what it would be called?
Energy healing is like a catch-all phrase for it.
Okay.
Right now I'm studying like modern shamanic practices, and I'm studying somatic experience, which is the body and how the body connects to the mind. So I'm really big into spirit now and being connected like a divine intelligence or source or the universe or God or whatever you might call it.
Whatever you might call it. Yeah.
And we all call it something, and it's not like that. It's that source. I call it source. It's that source of all things. And I'm really just working on being that connection for myself and for other people.
Yeah.
And helping people connect back in and then unleash their full potential, whatever they want, whatever that desire is in their heart. Most of my clients want to create positive impact in the world, either through expanding their business or starting a side gig or becoming a better person for their family. And what's holding us back is fear, always fear, self-doubt, not knowing your own self-worth, big one. It's really big right now, as with the whole climate of the world.
Yeah.
A lot of these issues are now arising in people. Like, wow, I thought everything was okay when I was really busy, and now
it's true
I have time to look. And I
got all this
realized,
free time to think. So, or maybe you weren't thinking really before. So,
yeah, it can be a scary place if you've never looked there.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's that struggle that we had to go through. But it's kind of happening if you like it or not. If you're stuck, not staying as busy. So yeah,
Yep.
it's okay. But it's okay. It's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Meet yourself where you are. You're totally okay where you
Yeah.
are. And if you want to get to the next level, you have amazing people like Amena and I to help you get there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
The energy healing work is the traumas you have in your life, those inner child traumas, they're stuck in your body as energies, and they're blocking your energy centers, your heart center for love, your solar plexus and your sacral center for manifestation, abundance, your third eye center for intuition and clear thinking. And in my work, that's like clouds, rainstorms. You can see these as like knives and daggers, and we go in and we remove them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So where would people reach out to you? Where would be the best place?
You can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook.com/Josh Tan, TAN 5D, or
5D.
Josh Tan. Yes, 5D, because we're going to the fifth dimension.
Oh yeah. Fifth dimension, 5D. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Tan 5D on Facebook.
Okay.
Or joshtan.net, and you can email me from there.
Okay, so you have an email on your site, and then from Facebook, they can directly message you through Messenger, I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
My email, if you want to hear, is Josh at joshtan, joshtan.net.
That's simple. That's like mine. I do the same thing. So, so Josh at joshtan.net. For everybody that's actually listening in and doesn't have a paper, you'll have to come all the way to the end and write it down when you get a chance. But you'll know it's here. So, and I'll put it in the details too. I do put the information on the podcast as well as the YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. For some of the podcasts, I don't think they show all the details, but you did hear it from Josh, and you can always go to amena.media to get to the web channel. There is a specific channel called Message of Hope, Stories from Struggle to Success, and this is 32. And if you add 32 together, we are in the fifth dimension. I don't know.
I love how that works out.
Yes. Perfect. So, all right, Josh, do you have anything else to say to our viewers and listeners today?
There's always a way. There's always a way. Possibility is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. Stay hopeful. Believe in yourself.
Love it. Straight to the point. Believe in yourself. Yeah. And really watch this video. Share it. Share Josh's message. He came on today to share this important message for you. Now it's your turn to share it with all your friends, family, loved ones, total strangers. It doesn't matter. We need to put out the message of hope to bring positivity and to provide essentially a mental health service that, has never existed before, unfortunately, on this level. Most people take drugs to mask it. I just did a report, actually. I'm coming out with this course with mindset, and a report, Josh, that I came up with. It's actually on a medical site. I can't think of the name of it, but it's where all the medical reports are. I believe it was 138 case studies. So they put it all into one case study. And they said that only 1/4 of people actually look for help within themselves, like actually think about what might be the problem is. And so anybody that's listening to this podcast today, you are 1/4 of the people that actually take the time to figure it out. So I am so proud of you guys today. That is amazing. So
Yeah, I will highly second that. And if you have any kind of wisdom or knowledge to share with the people that are important to you, please do, because they don't know what they don't know. And it's our jobs to go up the mountain and bring the information back down.
perfect. I like that. Yeah. It's our duty. That's a part of our purpose, right? To share our stories and our knowledge. It's what our foundation of humanity is built on, is stories. So that's where our language comes from. That's where everything comes from, is from our stories. So keep sharing your story. Thank you again, Josh. It's been amazing. Totally appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amena. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
Bye.